So, man, what's going on?
What's up, man?
Oh, bro. Honestly, I'm good, bro. I was about to kind of debrief a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like talk about just the day in general, but nah, because there's no need to focus on that negativity.
So, what's on your mind, then?
Man, the last pie, bro. The last pie we did, man. I'm excited about it. Actually, I think that it went really well. We got some good feedback. We left everybody with a cliffhanger.
Man, man, the Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay. First, but before we get into the Hitler, it was a great episode. A lot of people don't know we dealt with a lot of physical difficulties.
Yeah.
We were here. Shout out to Tony Jones. Shout out to Sammy. We are here at Level Up Gaming Lounge here in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's a beautiful site, good scenery. But there was a tournament going on upstairs. We had the perfect scenery with the brick in the basement. We'll be back there next episode. Stay tuned.
Right.
But we had a lot of noise going on, but we persevered. And I said before the episode started, said, with all this stuff going on, we got to record a great episode. And we did.
It was amazing.
And we ended off on me asking you the question: if you could have anybody on your podcast, dead or alive, who would it be? You said Hitler. So I'm gonna let you take the floor because
I'm pretty sure people are wondering like why I said Hitler, and the truth is this, man. You know, we had first said, you know, the first answer was Jesus Christ, which. Exactly. And I wasn't trying to go for a better answer. It was something that I literally had near and dear to my heart.
Right.
But the reason why I said Hitler is because Hitler, man, is like antithesis of Jesus Christ, right? Like
okay.
Polar opposite of Jesus Christ. Opposite. You know?
Polar opposite.
And
let's take these people and throw them in the oven. Like,
right.
What? Gas chamber.
Yeah, no. Okay, here's the truth, man. Here's the truth. I'm gonna stop playing around. Like, Hitler, to me, is somebody that I'm not gonna say I respect or anything like that, but I find his mind interesting. Okay. And the reason why I find his mind interesting is because he had a point of wanting to get rid of millions and millions of people, and not only did he just want to. He did, and he convinced others to kill millions of people. To me, this man died with no answers. Nobody knows really why Hitler does. Now, there's books, documentaries, all of these things, and there are almost like assumptions, I would say. I mean, there could be like, okay, second, third party to Hitler, but most of them are just assumptions. So for me, I personally would want to interview this guy and ask this guy certain questions like who hurt you?
Let that hurt go, bro.
Like, why did you do that? Like you literally changed, and he don't realize that like he changed the entire world. Like, we will never ever forget about that time in history. Never. That's to me that's scary. But at the same time, like, I would want to pick this guy's brain just to know what he was thinking. I'm interested in his brain. I'm interested in what happened, what was his story, like from him, the personal Hitler himself, and not to glorify it. By the way, so it won't be a no point to be glorified. It'll be a point to understand like why was this dude so mad, and what caused him to do such a heinous thing to a large amount of people.
And not only that, you said last time, if you could give people one book to read, it would be How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right.
I want to know how the hell he won friends and influenced people to kill a whole slew of people. To create a genocide.
That's madness.
Like, we understand that principles are universal. I would like to understand his principles so I could take that for the good, because there's no way.
That's it.
Not only that, he didn't have blonde hair, nor did he have blue eyes. Think about this. He didn't have blonde hair, nor did he have blue eyes.
if I'm correct, history might even suggest that he had Jewish like relation, like as far as like from parenthood.
I think I did hear that.
Jewish relation. So
In his heritage.
somewhere in his heritage, yeah. So like this guy, like you got, and like you said, like you got to think about it. What he did is like terrible, but if you change it for the good, that impact that you can have on the world, I mean, to me that's it. But that's enough about me. Enough about my brain and how what I'm thinking about. I need to know, man, a person that you would want to interview on the pod, dead or alive, today or thousands of years ago, who would that person be?
A person. I'm gonna answer a person.
A person.
Not the person, like the number one if I have to pick one.
Okay.
Because there's so many things I can pick from. Like
right.
I can pick
Aristotle.
I could pick Aristotle. I could pick Leonardo da Vinci.
Right.
I could pick Plato. I could pick Jesus.
True.
I could pick so many different things. I could pick James Allen.
Yeah.
That
would be crazy.
James Allen wrote As a Man Thinketh. If you haven't read that book,
true.
read it right now.
That's true.
The book came out in 1902, still relevant today. But man,
I even sometimes think about like Malcolm X and those guys.
oh yeah, for sure. And I think that so many times I would love to have a council. Oh man. Okay. I must change it up. Let's say I have a mastermind podcast, okay?
Okay.
And it's a group table discussion.
With all the masterminds that existed from.
Give me
Okay.
Give
I
me
like
Malcolm
that.
X.
Okay.
Give me Gandhi.
Okay.
Give me.
Oh, you going the positive route? Okay.
Give me MLK.
Okay.
You gotta give me MLK. Give me Obama. Why not? Obama. Give me LeBron.
I'm gonna be real with you. I want to know how Obama got to the White House. Now I know we all could like say, oh, like he went through the election, blase, but like
It's something else.
I think you got to be a thinker to understand. You got to be a thinker.
And I'm not necessarily saying it was malicious. I'm not necessarily saying he went through some under the table wild stuff. Unless you do, I don't.
Can I tell you something?
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Because I don't want to like. All right, then we're gonna move on. But I was looking at a documentary, and it was a documentary about the 2008 housing crisis. I analyzed that obviously because we're not going through a actual financial crisis, even though, in my opinion, it could turn into one just by studying like crisis. But I was looking at the 2008 financial crisis. It was a documentary on basically all the heroes and sheroes during that time. And the reason why I put the quote around is because on a wide scale, America didn't look at them as heroes or sheroes, but they kind of saved the nation, the country from a plummeting crisis, financial crisis. And during it, Obama was talking. He was talking about him getting ready to become president, and he called one of the it was the secretary, or I think he was the treasurer, and Obama called him and said, "Hey, I'm very positive that I'm going to be the president." This is before he got elected. This is before he won. And he said, "Hey, I'm very positive that I'm going to be." No, actually, Obama didn't say that. It was the guy. It was the guy, Paul. He said that Obama called him and said, "Hey, I'm going to be president. I'm very confident." Obama kind of hinted at it and said, I'm going to be president. I'm very confident. So this is what we should do. I want to let you know I'm interested in helping you with the housing crisis. I have some strategies up my sleeve. Blase, blase, blase. Boom. Fast forward, he becomes the president. I'm just saying, bro.
Saying what?
Why in the world are you that confident? Why are you that confident about being a president?
What do you mean? Why are you that confident that you're going to have a successful podcast?
I mean, just as a man thinking. But,
Hey!
But no. I mean, like, to the point where he could call, and maybe that's a radical point. Maybe that is, well, like, maybe that was, like, you know, Obama being very, 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 and I love the way you think, by the way, because that's a good point. Maybe Obama was being very confident and knew. At the same time, like I said, I'm not saying something malicious happened, but I'm saying that some chess pieces were played to get Obama in office.
So basically, what you're saying, in a nutshell, is that that he's an Illuminati. He's the king, and he created Illuminati, and he's the reason for all destruction.
Whenever
on
you
Earth.
say that almost like voids out everything I just said.
I'm kidding.
Because no, and I say that only because, and I'm not just talking about just you. I'm talking about our viewers because they look at it and they think about conspiracy. And anytime you hear conspiracy, Illuminati, everything that we just said goes out the window. You want to know why?
Why?
It's because people don't believe it. Some do, some don't, and it causes a conflict of interest, a conflict of conversation. So when it happens, people get like, oh, okay, like, you know what I'm saying? So I personally, even in conversation, I don't say one thing about Illuminati and I don't say nothing about conspiracy theory. Because conspiracy theory is man-made, obviously by the CIA during the JFK assassination. And Illuminati, it's not enough information out there about it.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Illuminati Unlimited. I'm just kidding.
But you see though, like look how we think, right? If you honestly think about how we think, do you think like the average person think like us? And not trying to put us, or maybe they do.
No, I think the perspectives that I had and the angles that I go about and the depth and the awareness I have about certain stuff is different.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, and because that's the thing, like, bro, think about like growing up black. As a black man now today, anytime we have these conversations, you typically have to have these conversations with a peer of your own, a colleague of your own that kind of reads, educates themselves, and kind of like involved in that, or they had some mentors around them. But just normally, just talking about growing up black, you really don't get that sense like this person is educated, they know what they're talking about, and they can actually give us advice on X, Y, and Z conversation or subject.
Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't like that. And a lot of times, for some reason, as we're talking about growing up black, if you take the route of just wanting to be enlightened, if you just want to be informed, if you want to learn more, if you want to do more, if you want to be more, and you talk in that certain way, some people may say you're quote unquote trying to be white, whatever that means.
Bro, I heard that.
I don't know what that means.
Bro, have you heard talking white? You talk white.
I haven't heard somebody tell me that, but I know that, like, what does that mean? Like,
I think it's just you pronounce all the syllables in a word, like, and you're able to explain yourself using words. I don't know.
But that goes to a deeper question. Why isn't that associated with black people anyway? If you're trying to sound more intelligent, or why try to do anything?
Well, let's go back. So let me scratch at my past a little bit. So when I was growing up, it was not cool for you to talk proper, and it was not cool for you to be like smart, right? And the reason why it wasn't cool, especially in my area, is because most of the time our focus wasn't in books, and our focus wasn't in like advancement. It's kind of almost like just keeping the simple life, how I look at it. And not that I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it different, that I'm like saying I'm above it. But what I'm saying is during that time, I could see myself like growing up, kind of just being part of kind of like the norm. And so for us, like, this was a typical day for me, bro. Because like we share different backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? You have a different background than I do. 2-parent home, 1-parent home. Single mother, you know what I'm saying, both of yours. So for me, it was like this. I woke up, I would get ready for school. I would be terrified going to school because either I was going to get into a fight or I was going to get jumped. I would be terrified all the way till school. I get to school. Then it's time for me to like try to act normal, but at the same time, all I can think about is trying to press a shorty. So screw trying to forget trying to get my knowledge. I'm trying to like flirt. I'm trying to be funny, trying to get attention. And then, boom, we out of school. Okay, let's go to recess. We doing recess. And during that time, we would play ball. We didn't care about, like, we would want to play ball actually, like, past, like, you know what I'm saying, that time period to go back to school. And then I would get to the point where, you know, maybe I'll put a little bit effort in because I knew that, like, my teacher would call my parent. I don't want that. So that was kind of like my thing. And then I would leave school and I would get into whatever. I'll just keep it at foolishness. I won't even say what I would do. Yeah, because it was, bro, I did some wild stuff. I ain't going to even front. But, yeah, like, it was just, and that was kind of like my everyday, and I wouldn't ever push. But I knew it, like I said, I knew I was different because I would see things with a different eye. I would ask questions, but I just didn't, like, you know what I'm saying, the education part wasn't there. So what about for you? Like, what was it like growing up for you?
Growing up for
especially
me,
black. That's a big thing.
I feel like growing up for me, especially like we can go back to elementary school. That was always something. That's where I realized I was different because people showed it and let it be known that I was different. But I didn't really realize how unique I was, and I really didn't realize what my strengths were and how me being different was my power source. So we built a house in the suburbs in, let's say, 2002, and I went to Mount Vernon school district. I went to Mount Comfort Elementary School, which is one of their elementary schools at the time, predominantly white. I mean, predominantly like 98%, 99.1%. This was like me and my siblings and a couple other people. Other than that, it was completely white. So going there, obviously I stuck out like a sore thumb.
Okay.
And I didn't really fit in with everybody else. And then everybody is so attentive to the things that make me different. So like, obviously if I was just another one of the kids like everybody else, I wouldn't have been no different. But that's the black guy. You notice every single differences and similarities, and I pointed out, and that's kind of when I first started getting into the fitting in and not wanting to be different and wanting to be popular and things. But then it was a terrible experience to this day. Terrible experience. My siblings went there. It was some racist things that went on, and my dad ended up we ended up switching schools. So I ended up going to an IPS school, Indianapolis Public School. Total opposite. Predominantly black. Might be 99% black and 1% anything other category. Into the IPS school district, and like I said, that was 99% black. So then, really, now I got to get used to being around my peers again 24/7. And after I've been to a predominantly white school for the last 3 years or so that really caused me to really focus on, my identity. And I didn't focus on it as well as I could have, because obviously I'm in the 4th and 5th grade, but I realized later on down the line of like how it's okay to be myself, and how, people look at you like, you act white or you're too black or something. So I definitely got that when I went to that IPS school. They would say, oh, you act white. But obviously it was a total opposite when I was at the other school. So really just going on the journey, figuring myself out, figuring out where I fit in, and where that lies within my peer group, popularity and things. So it was a journey.
That's interesting. Polar opposites for me. So I went all the way up until my sophomore year in high school. I was in predominantly 99.9% black schools. Then my grandmother passed away. She inherited her house to us, and we were able to move to a better neighborhood. And so then that school was mixed, but we had a lot of white kids in there. So imagine this kid from Gary, Indiana, this rough kind of concept mind frame, going into this school where like there's dancing and there's like it's liveliness. People want to go to college, and people are like high fiving. People are happy when you walking down the hallway. And I'm telling you, bro, Anybody that grew up in Gary know. You don't go to school happy. You go to school with a mission to get in and get out. And hopefully that day you don't have to fight. Hopefully that day you don't have to get into some stuff. Just hopefully, but it's a possibility. So you go in with those types of things. Then transform to going to school, and it was a more mixed school. There was whites, there was blacks, there was Hispanics. Everybody was in there probably at 50%. So nobody was dominant during the time I was there. And bro, I got a new wake of life, and that's when I started making friends with white people. But at the same time, white people just liked me. I don't know why. They just automatically did. And then black people, I just knew how to roast. Right. So I was playing sports and I knew how to roast. So I was I was in. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really have to make it wasn't a big problem for me. But it was still some issues in it. And one thing I wanted to ask you was, you was talking about when you were at your predominantly white school, you had some issues with race. Tell me how that affected you, or when you got to the realization that there was actually a race issue in our world.
To be honest, I didn't even understand at that time that there was a race issue in our world. I was still under the blind, ignorant notion or naive notion that racism was in the past, and it was all because what they teach you in school, the civil rights movement and everything that went on. But now black people are equal.
Yep.
Theoretically, on paper, some places you are, but yeah, I remember. I will never forget. There was this man. He was my teacher, my 4th grade teacher at Mount Comfort. He was just rude to me all the time. I was obviously the only black kid in there. He was rude to me all the time. I can think back and visualize times where I would get in trouble when other people wouldn't, and how his face would turn red and just really get angry and and I wasn't a bad kid. It wasn't I was doing something just getting on his nerves, but he turned completely red. You could see it in his neck and everything that it hit a different button with him interacting with me. But I didn't really realize until later on, and then it was to the point where, look, this is true story. My sister, a teacher, tried to flip a desk on my little sister. Yes, Dad came up to the school and everything, and we'll get to that story another day,
right,
offline. But yeah, I mean, literally stuff right after the other. But obviously, as I'm going into the school, my parents are teaching me obviously how to be respectful, how to love somebody, how to act with generosity when you're interacting with someone. So I went to the white kids the same way. I went to the white teachers the same way, just as if they were black. It wasn't then until later, and then was started realizing some more things. Now my brother's a couple years ahead of me. Mm-hmm. So my brother was actually in middle school around the time I was about to leave elementary. So some of the stuff that he was telling me was just wild, that was going on at the Mount Vernon Middle School. And so I'm like, man, I really see that there's a difference between this. And they made sure that I could see the difference between me and them, and they just made it evident. And granted, and I'm glad, I thank God that I was never someone at that time to have low self-esteem or really build all of my self-worth into the manner that they treat me, because there's people that kill themselves and murder themselves, commit suicide all the time, especially at such an early age. We've heard of 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds committing suicide just because of things like this. But that really opened my eyes to, man, this world isn't what y'all are trying to portray to me in this history book.
That's true.
Because that's not it. That's when I started to realize that this is your narrative. And I'm glad that I had 2 educated parents. So when I got home, they really educated me on how the world really is after that. And that's really when it started opening my mind up to things. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's a little bit of how the background was with me. But so get into with you, you made the comment, about your upbringing, how you interact when you go to school as a going to Gary. Do you think that you had the proper background? Do you think your background, growing up as a black kid from Gary, was sufficient enough to foster who you want to become, foster the dreams that you have, or do you think?
That's a great question. It's loaded, and I like that because what I'm about to do now is I'm gonna answer this in two parts. Okay. The first part I'm gonna start with this. Growing up in my city, I did not experience racism. I did not experience like any point of like separation, segregation, white issues. Like I did not experience it. The one white kid that I grew up with, his name was Tyler, if I'm correct. His name was Tyler. And this guy, we called him Eminem because he was literally like a spitting image of Eminem. Trailer park, like down to earth, hung out with us. Like he always got bullied. He really, because he was different. And even black kids, I don't think during that time we really understood it, but it was just because he was different. He looked different. He was white. He got bullied, but I became his friend. And I would stick up for him. I was like, yo, chill. Like, that's not cool. Just because I just had this mental difference of, like, because this kid is different don't mean we should treat him different. You know what I'm saying? He's still, and he was cool. He learned how to play ball. And so, but at the same time, it wasn't, like, racism. It was just us picking on the kid because he was different. I mean, the kid could have been Chinese, for example. And if he was Chinese, the kid would have got beat up on just because he was just different. So growing up in my city, we just didn't experience things of that nature. It did prepare me for today, though. Now, I did not realize racism until I left my neighborhood, until I left my city. And this is when I moved 15 minutes south. We were in a city called Crown Point. And in that city, I could be walking down the street and get called a nigger. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really didn't know how to handle it because, one, I never knew what it was to be called a nigger from a white person. So it didn't offend me. I was like, it is what it is. He's upset about something. I really can't be upset about it.
You a good one.
Oh, I know. Because, bro, I'm telling you, though. But a lot of kids are like that. They don't know what racism is. If you grow in the hood, bro, you do not know what racism is. Because, bro, the truth is, your biggest problem is your brother, not the white man. In the hood, he is not your problem, bro. A white man is not your problem. Now, if he's a cop, then yeah, but we look at him as cops. If he's a black cop, is a white cop, they're still the same cop. Like, they still pigs, men in blue, whatever you want to call them. That's just facts, right? But when it comes down to like racism in the hood, like you just don't have it. Like I said, your brother is your problem. So you literally trying to like make sure like you're not getting finesse, robbed, shot at, y'all cross it the wrong path or whatever. So yeah, I'm a good one, but at the same time I was naive. I'm gonna even go a little bit further, bro. I'm gonna show you how naive I was. And I'm proud of this. I'm not proud of this, but I'm proud of this because I know the growth. So I was working at this restaurant. I was working at a McDonald's. And at that McDonald's, I basically was like a crew member in flipping burgers. And I wasn't excited about that, bro. I hated doing stuff like that, but I had to make the best out of it during the time that I was doing that. I was working. I was going to school. So I'm like, I really don't have much options. What can I do? So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna become the manager, and I'm gonna run this place how I want it to be ran. Well, you start realizing is that as you like try to go for power, and that's what I'm talking about. That's the way like Gary shaped me, because Gary shaped me to always go after what I want and never be satisfied. I always had that dog in me, right? So I'm going to be the manager. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just run this show. You know what I'm saying? So I tell one of the bosses, I was like, yo, I want to be a manager. He's a white guy. For a while, he's not really like respecting me. He's not really like giving me the respect that I need. He's telling me, oh, like, we'll think about it. Oh, we'll talk about it. Well, you need more training than this. I'm like, well, tell me what I need to do and let me go do it so I can become the manager. As I'm like climbing up the ropes, bro, I started recognizing that I started to become token to these white people. Pats on the back. You're doing a good job, buddy. You're different. And believe it or not, that validation felt good, bro. I can't even front you, bro. The whites accept me. The same whites that are driving by calling me a nigga is the same. They're accepting me. So I'm like, man, I am good, doing good. I am better. And I started believing that. Like, I would get into conversations with people saying, oh, you're different, Josh. I could be friends with you because you're different, right? So I'm talking to these white people and they're telling me this. So believe it or not, bro, but I did not realize that at that point. In my mind, I'm like, I'm different. Cause think about it, bro. I grew up in the hood, right? I'm this kid that really like ducked and dodged, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if my back was against the wall, I'm fighting to the end. And to the point where I didn't have the gun pulled on me and stuff like that. So you talking about somebody that's not appreciated to the token black, right? So I'm working. They're approving of me. They're singing my praises. You're doing well. I become a manager. I have this one conversation with one of these guys, and this is gonna blow your head, by the way. And I didn't understand it back then, but now I do. We were talking, and he was talking about like just people in general, and then he got to talk about like how like he doesn't like black people, but he was like, Josh, I like you, and he was like, I like you because you're different, Josh. You know what I'm saying? You're respectable. You know how to behave yourself. All this stuff. Older white guy, by the way. And during the time I'm in high school, like I said, I just left the hood. So I'm like, yeah, like I've advanced. I'm better. I'm better than, you know what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters. I'm better than them. So I get this right? Crazy, bro. Crazy. But this is real. This is real, right? And he says it. And something in me just didn't feel right after he said it. After he, you know, he's giving me these praises. He's like, you know, in general, I don't like black people. And my question was to him, I was like, man, where do you get that? Where do you get that perception from? And he was telling me like, man, I get it from the news or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I watch people on the news and I see them like doing this and doing that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm like, but I'm not like that. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, you know, you're not like that. And I walked away feeling good, but there was something in me that just wasn't like, I wasn't like cool with that until I started educating myself, my brother. And I started realizing that brother was the most racist person ever, because in the face of a black person, he was able to tell he didn't like black people, but he liked me, giving me the tokenism that I was different. So yeah, at that point I knew I was different, and it wasn't until I started educating myself, like I said, that guy was the most racist guy I had ever we had crossed paths, because he was able to tell me in my face he didn't like black people, and he gave me a good reason why, basically, besides there being thugs and hoodlums and all that other stuff. And that really shaped my mind frame, because I was like, you know, I have to be careful, because I'm thinking that I'm friends with these people, and let alone these people hate my brother. Like, they hate, like, for example, you know, if I don't like give them the okay that like the people that were around me were cool, then they were looking at them as if they were, you know what I'm saying, less than human beings. Right. And so for me, bro, it wasn't until I got to school where I started really educating myself on just the history of what we've been through. And like I said, bro, this is why I even like, this goes back to the message of like creating podcasts and have a conversation. Like, yo, if you from Gary and you listen to my content, I'm telling you right now, bro, educate yourself. Go read, because what you're not doing is you're not coming to the reality of life. We're living. One thing we're doing is we live in day by day, right? Day by day, thinking that these small issues that we're having within our circle, within our neighborhood, from house to house, are the biggest problems in the world. And the biggest problem actually in the world is the target against us.
That's real. So check this out. Just a kid from Gary Okay. Obviously, growing up black, you a black kid, being a kid from Gary, obviously. So, how have these things influenced you finding your purpose? So you said taking this to why you started the podcast and the importance of doing your podcast. How does this tie into and influence your purpose?
So that's a great question. When we first understand purpose, you gotta understand, like, locking into your purpose has to be probably the most hardest thing ever. Only because when you lock into your purpose, it takes a level of humility to accept it. And then also it takes just a clear understanding of that the things that you thought you would be doing in life, you probably won't be doing.
Oh, for sure.
And so, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I can definitely attest to that.
But for sure, like, how the city has helped me, even in understanding my purpose, was this. After I went to school and started getting educated about design, architecture, I then realized that a lot of times and I started studying urban planning. Urban planning is the basically, I for people that don't know, I call them doctors of cities. These are people that analyze cities. Okay. You like that? They analyze cities. They basically and they give a remedy. They find a solution. They come up with solutions for cities that are struggling financially, cities that are struggling, and this is on the same thing economically, even with population. And so once I started understanding that, I was looking at the Pruitt-Igoe myth in St. Louis, and I started realizing that my city had parallel issues. Race being the foundation of it. So when I got to that point, I was like, yo, honestly, if there were black architects and black urban planners, black lawyers and black doctors, black attorneys and black physicians, black engineers, black photographers, black people within media, all of it, we will be able to care for our communities. We'll be able to care for ourselves. We'll be able to create the communities that we need in order for us to, like, just live a good life. And so what I started doing was I started thinking, okay, my purpose is going to give back to my city. My purpose is finding ways how I can design for my city, design black, design for people that, don't have the resources, economics that others have, which they do. A lot of times we don't even know how to lock into it. A lot of times it's literally sitting in our faces. A lot of times there's grants, loans, etc. for entrepreneur, facade upgrades on housing, all this crazy stuff that there's money out there for, and they don't tell you, they don't educate you about it. Educate at least black communities about it, and you never know. So I say, you know what? If I became a designer, I can create spaces where people can learn. Create spaces where people feel more together. Create spaces where brothers and sisters won't be hating each other. You feel me? And that's one of the ways I like to my purpose. But question back at you. With first growing up and going to Mount Vernon, then going into a predominantly African American school, then even the road after that, of course, falling in love with sports, playing it in college, even hitting pros. How would you say where you at, and even your podcast has given you like enlightenment on your purpose?
Just because the path for me to figure out my purpose happened through adversity. So I didn't end up in either one of those school systems. Like I said, that was Mount Vernon. I went to IPS. I then after that went back into Warren Township through our middle school and through our high school. And from there on out, as you said, my love for football grew even more than it already had. Everybody that knew me knows that my purpose is to play football. I'm going to go to the NFL. Everything about me is football. Somebody couldn't come up to me with a conversation if they didn't talk about football first. They know me from football, so that's their first go-to. And so just going on that path, and then it took for football not to work out for me to really find out what my purpose is. Because, and how does that tie into my background? Is because I grew up, like I said, Warren Township, Warren Central High School. A lot of people, for them, it's like football or bust. it's like if I'm not going D1, I'm going to the streets. Now, granted, I don't have a street background, but a lot of them was just, if this doesn't work out, that's just it. I'm gonna do something that's less meaningful. I'm not gonna fully execute what I feel like my purpose may be. I'm really going off of what may be acceptable to others or what may look appealing, but not what truly satisfies my soul and my deeper core and what I've been put on this earth to become. So for me, it took for me to find out that football wasn't in God's plans for me. Even like I said, even when I got my opportunity at the next level at the NFL, and then figuring that out, like, you know, I've had adversity this whole time. Not everything has gone smoothly. Every big accomplishment that I've achieved in life has come through some issue, and I'm not a person that can stay down for long. I don't consider myself to be down at any point because I'm a firm believer that all things work together for the good. So it's all about the work that goes into the come up anyway. So from there, I hit rock bottom when I was out of football. When football didn't work out like it was like I had planned for it to work out in the NFL, and so I had to realize, you know, what really made me who I am, and really that adversity, that sticking through things, that perseverance, drove me to thrive and seek what's next. And from there on out, it led me to my purpose statement. One where another shout out to Anthony Murdoch, A Murdoch II on social media. But he's the one person I work with a lot about finding my purpose statement. And that's where I get that from. When I said at the beginning, I'm a purpose-driven, empowering thought leader. My purpose is to uplift, inspire, and empower others to learn more, do more, and be more. So that took a long time to really realize. And then not only that, once I analyzed my background, then once I realized who I truly am, what my purpose statement is, and what that means to me, then it takes courage to really operate that and have the confidence to do that regardless, and be fully intentional of your actions and not place your attention on things that don't foster what you know your purpose actually is. So understanding that and my background was truly instrumental. Like literally all things work together for the good, and the good of me finding out what my purpose was. Everything that I went through, no matter the school system, no matter me having my way or not having my way one way or another, it all fed into me understanding who I truly am. And I wouldn't change the journey for anything, because obviously I'm progressing. Obviously I'm on the road, on the path to what's next, my dreams, goals, and aspirations. But I love where I'm at right now.
I forgot to mention something. I enjoy what you just said. You know, one thing that my city teaches people is when you make it out, and when I say make it out, you make it out with a clear mind, a strong vision, give back. One thing I teach, when I say I teach, is when I'm talking to like people that like A, I'm mentoring, or B, like people that like just want to know like just my short little story. One thing I say is this: there's two ways to look at life. It's the rich mindset and the broke mindset. Now, what I'm about to say is, like, people think I'm talking about rich and wealth, rich with, money. No, I'm talking about rich within your mind, how you think. See, the broke mindset, the poor, let me rephrase that. The poor mindset thinks more of, can I? Why nobody is helping me? Man. Why can't I have? Can I have? Can you help? That's what the poor mindset think. But the rich think, how can I help others? How can I help others? How can I give back? What can I do to change people's lives? What can I do to help others? And I had to adopt that mindset because I started realizing that in order for me to be in my true purpose, bro, I have to give back. And not even just giving back. It's not just the corny giving back. No, it's truly helping people. Using the knowledge and understanding that you have, A, to be an inspiration and a beacon for people. B, set the tone. Create some things. Think of things. When you like, bro, I can't stand and I hate the fact that my brothers that made it out don't give back. Don't do nothing, bro. They literally they're you know, they're doing whatever, they hustling, They making it, and I'm proud of them. But I hate the fact they don't give back to our city, bro. Our city is literally struggling. All they had to do was mentor one kid. That's all they have to do is try to change one life, give back, and that's the difference. That's the difference when you understand your purpose. See, when you understand your purpose and you're purpose driven, you understand that it's not about you. It's about the people that you're able to help. And this is not me like talking to anyone. This is just me. This is a conversation I have internally most of the time. Most of the time, I'm getting on myself. How can I be giving? How can I give back? What can I do on a? And I'm not talking about like, I don't like, bro. Giving back with pennies is nothing, bro. I'm talking about giving back on the big scale, foundations, drives, food drives, even design, like even entrepreneurship, even creating and establishing jobs. You know what I'm saying? Establishing employment opportunities, nice housing for people. These are all ways that you give back to your city.
So keep this. You're saying everything about inspiring others, empowering others, instilling that knowledge in them, uplifting others. When it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to be?
I don't want to be remembered for anything. I don't want to be remembered, bro, because to me personally, that's vain. I don't want to be remembered for anything. What I want to do is this. I want people to just hear something or see something and become inspired and just go do something. Go do something that just changes the world. And I don't even care about like being thought of, because to me that's nothing, bro. And I know in our world, and hear me out, bro, in our superficial world, that is a lot, right? Because when we think about it, we think about Aristotle, we think about Malcolm X, we think about Martin Luther King, we think about any influential person within our past. Either they've written a book, or they've did a lecture, or they're known for something groundbreaking. They're remembered by, if you realize, they're remembered by the efforts of them giving back. They never ever talked about like remembering me. They never said remember me. They never said I'm the focus of everything. It was for others. It was always giving back for others. It was always doing something for other people. Bro, that's what if you ever think about me, that's what that brother gave back, man. That brother put it in his heart, and he established platforms so that he can give back to others, so that he can help others, inspires others. If anything. What about you?
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to No. So really, I want to instill a mindset with people. I want to put a mindset on people to do the most you can with what you have. I know a lot of people live with limited beliefs about themselves. I know a lot of people live in lack mentally. I know a lot of people have a lot of things in their mind that hinders them, that they might not realize that it is things that they have adapted within their own mind, and there's something that they can unlearn. I feel like life is meant to have full prosperity, peace, joy, abundance, and all type of good things that life has to offer in any way, shape, or form. But excuse me, I think a lot of people don't live up to that potential. I feel like a lot of people die not knowing what they could be. And I feel like a lot of people don't know how powerful they are. Steve Jobs said the world as we know it now was built up of people that were no smarter than we are. Yeah. But they just executed their ideas. They just actually worked on what they believed about themselves. Or they had the same insecurities, they had the same doubts, they had the same issues and shortcomings that we did, but they just did what they could with what they had, and they didn't make excuses for themselves and did that. And I want to be that inspiration for others. I heard Aubrey Marcus make the comment. He said, "Who's Jesus?" Obviously, we know who Jesus is. But he was saying Jesus was a man that professed his ability to be so much like God, to where, like, granted, if you think about it in the Bible, like the word Christianity or denominations isn't English. Yeah. We've all created that. Man has made that because of things that have already, because of what he did first. So think about it. He operated off his ability so well that he influenced the world forever. He says in the Bible, these works shall you do, and greater works. So think about it. Like, if he can do that,
and he did the greatest works.
He did the greatest, and he literally said, "You can do all that and then some."
More, yeah.
How many people believe that? We just talked about Obama.
People don't believe it.
People don't believe that, and then we just talked about how could Obama be so confident. Jesus was way more confident than that, and I don't want this to be a Bible study. I'm just saying he brought up a point, and I was like, man, like, that's legit. So basically, I want to do that same thing. I want to be so immersed in what I do that inspires someone to look at their own situation and like, man,
they want to change
more. Like, yeah, am I doing the most I can with what I have? Like, can I be doing more? Am I like, if I had to, if I was passing away right now, did I give my best effort?
Mm-hmm.
Am I making my greatest contribution to the world right now? And I want people to look at me and see that I actually had the same shortcomings as anyone else, mentally and whatever, but really deciding to make the choice to make my life how I want it to be, and not the life that I just can live or like what gets dealt to me. No, like, I'm the artist of my world. Yeah. I can bring forth whatever type of joy and happiness I can to any which way. Because we can get on. I can keep going, but
yeah, bro. No, that's hot. I can't even lie. Because, bro, what you said is, I think it's the root of like a lot of the things that I believe in. I know a lot of people out there believe in. Because, like, true enough, like, if you're listening to this, there's something inside you that believes in, like, the idea of what we're talking about. The reason why is I believe there's just this natural awakening that's happening. And we're starting to get to this point where we're like, you know what? It's time to, like, push, bro. And honestly, like, I can't be just satisfied with just living this regular life.
That just ain't it. I can't.
It's not cool.
I can't. And then, like, man, so I just got to share this because sometimes I just sit, like, I'll try to sit without my phone and just be. I was sitting over here before we started recording and everything, and I was just looking. And I was thinking about the idea that everything, like, grows from a stem of thought. Literally everything. Think about the little things. The watch you got on. It didn't just exist one day. Mm-hmm. Somebody thought it, put together that idea, and executed it. This laptop, we're only on this laptop because someone had an image of it in their head, put the hard work and effort to execute it, and then brought it to fruition. This clothes, this hat, everything, this building, these video games. I was like, look at these video games. I think about all the Marvel characters, every video game ever presented. All these are just imagination. Like, literally just imagination. Like, that's why I talk about taking our thoughts and our dreams and turning them into things like imagination to creation. Like, we could probably name 100 characters on, like, all that's from somebody's mind. Because, like, if you just think about it, we're really looking at, we have a visual representation of somebody's ideas. Like, I can see your mind. Like, my car. Like, where did that come from? Somebody executed that idea.
That's true.
Like, so just that beauty of it, and just getting that inspiration, and just really seeing what we can do to execute that, and understand that I have a dream and I have an idea, just like the person that made this speaker, just like the person that made this hat, just like the person that made that microphone. Yeah. But it's really about what we do with it, and it's just something about having that idea. I have just as many ideas as Jeff Bezos, or just as many ideas as Warren Buffett, but the difference between us two is the execution, and I'm aware of it, and I don't do anything about it. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Let me ask you this question, and then I think we're gonna put a pause to it. But how strong is your mental? How strong is your mind?
How strong is my mind? My mind is as strong as they will hear us next episode.
My God. My God. My God.
All right,
that's it. That's it.
But look, guys, y'all gonna love this answer. Y'all gonna love this answer. But you have to tune in to the part 3.
Yeah. Bro, you know, I want to say to our guests, to our audience, thanks guys for tuning in. make sure that you go catch the first episode. It's a lot of gems. Just a lot about, Josh and I and how we even started just doing a podcast. That episode is dope, bro. I can't lie. That episode is dope. I listened to it literally just to motivate myself. All throughout the week I was listening to it. I can't be front. But yeah, guys, I am Josh of Just a Kid from Gary, a podcast inspired to help you achieve your dreams and make them a reality. And I'm here with...
My name is Joshua Posley from the Dream Big Think Sharp podcast. I'm a purpose-driven, empowering thought leader. Dream Big Think Sharp podcast, where we take our thoughts and dreams, turn them into things, taking our ideas from imagination to creation. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you stay tuned with us for the next episode. You find it on all of our platforms, as you'll see after this video. So see you next time.